All right, all right, all right. What's happening, man? Welcome to another episode of the Power Hour. Got my main man from Puerto Rico, Mr. Jay Kinder. How you doing, cuz?
What's happening?
Just
It's always
rock
good.
and roll,
Always
man.
good here. Always.
Yeah. We were giving a little weather update before we hit live, and you live in Groundhog Days until hurricane season.
Yeah. So far, it's been good.
So far, so good. I could see you shirt off, headband, Lieutenant Dan, hanging in there during hurricane season.
Ain't going nowhere. It's just a little wind. Some rain. It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. You're probably right. If you don't get out in time, you're stuck.
Yeah. I mean, we got hurricane windows, so we got a generator. So, I mean, as long as we got diesel, we should be good.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping that StreamYard and Facebook were playing nice with each other. We went. I had a call on Thursday, and we stuck in there, but I just got a notification that one of our groups is not working. So here we go again.
Right.
Oh man. So what's good, man? Definitely not one to sit still. So what's been going on?
Man, it's the revolving door of Puerto Rico has been very active. Still, Amber's family just left yesterday, so it's the first day in 11 or 12 days that there hasn't been someone here. So I'm actually quite happy about that. We got a little movie night last night. Took Riggs up to play some basketball after school. It's like kind of a normal day was yesterday, so it's nice. I like it. I like those kind of days.
Yeah. There seem like far and few between these days. Yeah. Well, cool, man. So appreciate you guys jumping in here with us. This is time for you to jump in, ask any questions, anything on your mind, throw it into the comments, and Mr. Kinder and I will love to dive in and unpack anything that might be a bottleneck or a choke point for you as we are heading into the new month. I mean, it's crazy how close we are to already being halfway through the second quarter of the year.
Yep. What's up, Nolly? Nolly came and visited.
Love it. Nolly's been tuning in. Appreciate that for sure. Very cool. So got a nice little gift from our good friend Mr. Honey Badger Ryan Gibbons throughout. This is River Edge. So we did a great expert mentors on him talking about how you really position yourself in your community. And so River Edge, Jersey, and creating the community site and how you handle it, the do's and don'ts, and really positioning yourself as that go-to authority in your marketplace, and obviously creating the swag and everything else that goes with it. So it was awesome.
That's very cool. Yeah. I'm curious. I need to go listen to that one because I'm curious because today's different than it has been in the past with all these groups. Man, it seems to me like these groups can be, especially these neighborhood groups, can be extremely powerful and difficult to make your way into.
Yeah. And I mean, he really broke it down, and it may be page as well as group, and navigating, even political climate. You have strong guidelines and things that you want everybody to follow and play by, but you got to be careful, right? Not to to sway your opinion that could have a you don't want to divide the whole community,
right?
So it was good. He gave some really good pointers on that, and obviously the intent to add value, and of course it's helped his business significantly by doing that. So it was really good. Chauncey, what's up? Nolly's asking RevShare. So we are getting back to doing live events. What are your tips around doing them to build our RevShare group? So I love that question, and I would love for you to dive in. I definitely have some thoughts around that as well.
Yeah, sure, man. We know, in all reality, the process should be you're always inviting your warm list of people to events, right? So whatever the next event is, you're inviting them to it. And we can go back, John, we could document if maybe we should. We wouldn't have got Vincent Koo if he didn't come to the Las Vegas event. We wouldn't have got Veronica if she didn't come to the mastermind event in Key West. We wouldn't have got Gil if we hadn't had the mastermind in Key West. At least I don't think we would have gotten him.
I don't think we would have either. I would agree with that.
And so we're talking literally thousands of people in a group of 7,000 ish or more, almost 8 probably now, but that they may not have all fell, the cookies, may not have fell the way they did. So, getting people to the live events that are already scheduled is priority one, I would say. That's probably a tougher ask than getting people to show up to a local event, right? So there's a local event strategy, and there's a couple of ways that we've gone about doing that. And then there's, kind of a roadshow strategy where you go from city to city that can also be of value. And it depends on kind of what the goal is. Are we focused on building FLQA? Are we focused on building a group for your leadership? So if you've got a leader in a community, so I went back to Jersey 7 times, 8 times, somewhere in that range.
At least,
right? To do events and build a pretty good sized group, in that one community. So I came back there consistently. So there's a lot of ways to do it. And yeah, by the way, Chauncey fam, you're killing it, by the way. I mean, your FLQA numbers are just ridiculous, or FLA numbers for sure, like off the charts. Killing it. I'm just about to post the top 200 in the Honey Badger group, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, she's dunking on everybody right now. So congratulations. Those are some of the things like to think about, Nolly. Like, maybe that helps kind of frame up the question a little differently. But there's different strategies for different seasons, and some of it is helping build leaders and support your leaders. And then some of it is more focused around FLQA. Some of it, it just kind of depends on what we're trying to accomplish, I think. But what's your initial feedback on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I definitely think, and I know we got a lot of friends listening in that are not EXP. And so this is principle based. It doesn't matter, right? We're speaking principles. If you're trying to grow, increase your head count to your company, you could be independent, you could be at another franchise, you could be whatever. It's all the same. So my thought around that is you got to get clear on just, Dan Kennedy 101 with events, right? What are the 2 primary objectives for this event? And so you have to be real clear with that question first. So I'll give you an example, with the mastermind, right? So I go back and I think, do I think James and Ron and Levi and Morris would be the generals they are today if they didn't come to that event, right? They weren't new to come to EXP, but they were there that really blew belief into what they were a part of and the opportunity that they had in front of them. And then they saw what's possible by being in that type of room. I'll give you another example. So we're taking our NAEA boot camp. We've taken it on the road. We've taken it to Cleveland. We've taken it to Columbus, and we're going to take it to Atlanta for Dan Hilsman and the ATL crew. And so that was my initial question to Levi, who's heading up that event. I was like, okay, well, what's the goal? And then what's the secondary goal? And Levi goes, well, we have a large organization and we want you to train them. So, okay, so that's our first goal. So our first goal is train. And then, of course, Dan kicks in. He says, then we want to be able to use it to recruit. Perfect. Now we have our 2 goals. Now we know how to create the content. Now we know who to get in the room. So what Jay was just saying is you got to get clear on the objective. You got to get clear on the goal. And then you can outline the event accordingly. And, I know, Cindy Featherstone, she does events almost better than anybody. And this is what I told her. I was like, get back to doing the events before you can get back to doing the events. Like, be the first back into the market doing the live events. And so, Nolly, you want to be first to market. Get your butt back going before anybody else. And so, to me, speed will win mind share. Back to events first. I love what Brent did in Cabo. He went guns a-blazing, biggest event. And, with his energy and the social media push, I mean, he's owning the mind space for live events right now as it pertains, to a large event. So definitely been thinking about events a lot, as you can tell. So I just kind of wanted to share that.
That was some gold, bro. Some gold. So yeah, that's man, leveraging the events that are already out there is a big deal. I mean, because events are heavy. It's a heavy lift to do events. I mean, Ollie knows he's done events before, done lots of events, and so yeah. Yep. But yeah, if you're going to use it to build up your leaders, the way that I structured it was I leveraged. I needed to have somebody on their end that could execute, and so I wanted to make sure that if I'm coming into a marketplace, that the heavy lifting was done by the person that was going to be responsible for the follow-up of all the people that came through. And I can't come to an event, get a bunch of things stirred up, and then do all the follow-up for you the next 2 days, especially if you're doing stuff like we were doing it back to back. I couldn't, there was no way, there was no time in my calendar for people to block anyway. And so, having the right kind of who that can execute on getting the room full, leveraging their lenders, their title companies, everyone to show up, and being responsible for that, checking them in when they get there, use the Eventbrite for all that. That was an important consideration for me if I was going to come to a market. I needed a true leader in that marketplace that also I knew was going to go above and beyond and help and lead those people as they came on board, get them indoctrinated properly into EXP, indoctrinated into the agent attraction side of it, and help build it, right? And so, and there's willing to be that person, willing to do the Facebook Lives and intros for everybody, and all of those pieces that help really create a group that's going to take off in the marketplace.
Man, I love that. And it's two critical components, fill the room, but then also somebody that can make sure that the appropriate follow-up and touch points after the event. We've both done a lot of events with folks that they didn't follow up, and they lost a lot of opportunity because they did not take action on the follow-up side of things. A couple other things, man, this is just event wise. So, Holly's really good, really close, really good friends with Deanna, who's Roland's right hand. And, of course, she has the event company. She does all of, War Room. She does all the events. And she was sharing a story on Clubhouse Friday morning in their women's elevation group, to where she has a client that they were on the hook for over 100,000 and they had only sold 2 tickets. And so they changed their strategy to offer free tickets. And then they offered a VIP upsell. Yeah. And then what they did, this was another incredible nugget, is that then they couldn't get sponsors to get on board because nobody was going to be there. So her nugget was find the biggest sponsor and give them a free sponsorship. And then you can go after the smaller sponsors and say, hey, we would love for you to be a sponsor at this event. We have XYZ sponsor that is the headline sponsor. They don't know that you gave them free sponsorship. They just like, oh, they're on board, we're on board. So you could offset, the monetization, cost of the event via sponsorship that way. Another cool thing that I heard was putting a $97 ticket price on the event, but offering a discount code to where it dropped it down to like $9 or $7. Right. To where they only have, a $7 skin in the game, but they have the perceived value that the event is $100 a ticket, seat. So those were a couple cool monetization strategies that I heard. And then obviously, we've seen, out the back end offering things or however you want to do it. But those were 2 really pretty ninja strategies that I had kind of heard over the last couple of weeks.
That's very good. Very good stuff. There's also a course called Butts and Seats. I don't know where you could find that these days, but it's from Dan Kennedy, and it goes deep on every aspect of this. Very, very, very great course.
If you could find that, I'm sure that course is gold.
Yeah, I don't even know if I could find it in all of my stuff here, and it was hard to find. It's an older course that doesn't. He probably's got it out there being marketed now more, but back in the day when we were trying to find it, hard to find.
Cassette tapes.
Right. Probably was. It definitely was. It definitely was either cassettes or CDs. One of the two.
Remember the Tony Robbins set that we had in the office for the longest time until we upgraded to the CDs. Remember the tape cassette ones?
Heck yeah.
Such good stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, man. I'm really, really excited that we're getting events back going. I think people are just they can't, get to events fast enough. And, the travel's making it pretty, enticing to get back on the airplanes. And I mean, shoot, we've flown American the last couple of times. I'm sure you have, and they're just offering, 60, 70, 80,000 miles to just sign up for a damn credit card. I mean, 80,000 miles will get you going. So a lot of places.
Yeah.
Somebody shared sunlearn.com. Dan Kennedy butts in seats. There you go.
There you go. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
Good stuff. That's awesome, man. So I know
that's the only question we got, man. Like, I think we did a fairly decent job at helping answer that. So anybody got anything? And then I love it when we got somebody helping out find the resources for us in the background too. That's awesome. So
that is awesome. What other questions you got? Oh, CDs too. There you go.
You gotta find the CD. I've got one. I still keep one around just in case.
Yeah, like I think I got a CD player somewhere.
I got one of the little Mac ones you can plug in.
Yeah, so funny. Oh man, good stuff. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Okay, I got a nugget for everybody. So this has been one I don't think I've ever shared it with anyone other than individually. So there is a I will say that I'm not endorsing nor suggesting that anyone should buy anything from this particular site outside of the fact that my personal experience was I had a pretty good experience. But he pirates basically everything, apparently.
This site, yes.
Seminar.org. It's going to come across as a bit sketchy because the things that they're selling them for so cheap, and they sell. I got stacks of them, dude. I buy them every time an offer comes out. Just full of all of the. These are all like things that I bought, like huge, and it's everything. Dude. Anything Dan Kennedy, Tony, anything anybody information marketing sells. Don't care who it is. You can find it there. And so you get on his email list and you'll get some, if you want some content to consume, you can get it there for pretty cheap.
That is
my assumption that he is pirating this stuff. Maybe he has some kind of back end deal where he's paying people on this stuff, but I don't really know for sure.
He could be the guy, right? It's like, hey, everybody's going to pirate your stuff anyways. Let me at least give you a rip on it.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the deal. But who knows?
That's gold. That is gold. Nolly looking to get listings, man. I still reference our conversation pre-COVID, and I think Nolly he nailed it. It's three things. Making sure you touch your database, old expireds, and then we were talking pre-foreclosures before they put the freeze on the pre-foreclosures. And Holly had Nicole Espinosa on her podcast a couple weeks ago. And Nicole was kind of breaking down kind of what to anticipate over the next 2 to 3 years of how things are going to be rolled out. And so, Nolly, I think you were definitely onto something with that data point in that, it may be a little bit down the road, but that is going to happen as well. So just knowing that to be there. The other thing, cousin, I don't know if you've had anybody that's had much success or anything with it or talked to anybody, but some more of this predictive data points. There's a company likely.ai that is pretty reasonable, and you can really hone in on a pretty tight geographical area, and they'll give you points. They have some 90-day guarantee or something. But like, what are you seeing or hearing that,
man, it's funny. It's the principles don't change regardless of how good the data is, right? So and I go back to looking at things we did right and did wrong because we spent a pretty fair amount of time with data and leveraging some of those different data points and seeing if we could improve the conversion or the lead to appointment ratios, things like that. but it just didn't seem to be true. Not with any of them that I've seen. Like nothing like super measurable. And maybe they have something measurable now, but it seemed like the results that we have gotten and the results that most people have gotten have not been just dramatically better when you're targeting a specific demographic, say divorce or something along those lines. And I think at the end of the day, it still comes down to the frequency, the reach and frequency. Like you can reach any number. Now, do I think expireds are the reason why expireds works? If you market to expireds, the ones that expired and haven't gone back on the market, and if you do it over a long enough period of time that people say they got ridiculous results, is because when you think about an expired that didn't relist, they all wanted to sell. They all had a reason to sell, and they all were willing to pay a commission to sell. It just didn't happen for them. And so if you're going to increase your marketing spend to any segment of the market, all of those people, I mean, that's a highest quality person that I know of that you could direct mail to or market to, period. And any vehicle might work, but the frequency over time is what we learned with the expired postcards was the frequency over time. By the 8th to the 13th week, the amount of inbound you got because they had seen you week after week after week after week after week after week consistently, whereas people dropped off after like the first 3 mailings, you would get inbound from that. And I believe that's the same thing with any other kind of data point. It's going to be the frequency that's going to matter the most. How many weeks in a row did you mail them? And if you didn't mail them more than 15 or 20 weeks, probably today, you may not get that phone call. And that's just the reality of marketing is top of mind, even though the data is good. What it is you're sending them, your offer, your call to action, what they do. Did they Google you? Did they actually go to that URL? You're taking them offline to online to offline. There's so many factors in marketing that can make something work. It's real easy to say, well, that's not going to work, but the data might be great. But I think even us and our examples that we've had have been that we probably didn't stay with it long enough. We probably didn't stay with it long enough to get a particular increase in the actual return, per person or whatever. So
cash conversion cycle.
Right. Yes. It's the number one thing, Dan Kennedy 101, number one mismanaged rule in marketing is most people don't actually understand what it takes, how long it's going to take in order to get that return on investment and how much is going to have to be done in marketing in terms of how the frequency. They just miss that, because they haven't studied marketing long enough. Yeah. So that's a big one.
I think you nailed it right there, man. It's that, and sometimes you've got to learn it the hard way to really understand that concept. And, for us, it was, to the tune of over $100K lesson to be able to get to that point with TV. Mm-hmm. And, here we are, the bank accounts, dwindling, the pipeline's growing, listings are coming. But it wasn't until, the 10th month for us in our price point in our market to where that ROI started to make sense. And shit, we shut it off and we still had money coming in people they saw our commercial 2 years later. Like,
right.
Where did you see
You're
that?
Right. Yeah. They saw it, but what we did correctly was we hit frequency. The number of times people were going to see our commercial was so frequent that it got a return fast, but the days on the market was what, when you don't think about that all out together, we should have been willing to light a match to $80,000 before we ever started calculating anything. And so and that's just what it is. And, it's just, looking at, another example of a mistake, and then I'll answer Juan's question. We, without talking to me, what happened was we had someone that made a decision to take a pretty decent amount of the budget. It wasn't a whole lot of money. I think it was $4,000 or $8,000. I can't remember. And we mailed shock and awe boxes, which we have the most badass shock and awe box. Like, this thing was bad to the bone. You got one laying around?
I think I got one of the last ones in existence.
Yeah.
This is like going in the museum someday.
Right. That was the shock and awe box. And we mailed it to these data points, all these different data points. And the expectation was, and the thought behind it was, again, not the right way to think about it, but ta-da, look at my big fancy box, call me, right? And we got 0 calls. 0 calls. 0, not 1, not 2. I think there was maybe one call in that was a wrong number when we called it back. They were like, they called the wrong number or whatever. It was like an old 800 number that someone else was trying to get hold of somebody else. And so like 0 calls. So it was like, it was just it's such a testament to the importance of frequency, right? Like you can mail the fanciest package you want, but frequency is going to supersede everything. And so, that's the key. And then, so even going back to like, Juan's question here, he's like, so would you go after FSBOs expired? Yeah, I think that's the lowest hanging fruit. I would call FSBOs. I wouldn't mail them because relationship trumps everything. And the same with expireds. I would call them, but I would also follow up because you're not going to get a lot. You're not going to get a hold of all of them. FSBOs are easy to get a hold of. They put their phone number on everything. Expireds is a little different. So you may not ever get a hold of an expired. With the follow up, the follow up with expired of having mailing the packages, or at least the package, or something consistently with good calls to action, but mainly just your face, so they can say and see your name and know what website to go to when they think, hey, let's call that so and so. Like that's a big piece of it. You could go with any of these choices, but if you don't have the right brand, personal brand, that when they go search, because they're not going to go put jkinder.com in, they might, but they're, for most people's names, it isn't going to be that easy, right? They may misspell it. They may just go type your name and real estate into Google. What comes up? Does a page come up that talks to them about exactly what their situation is, or is it something different? And that's the part that becomes really difficult with marketing is, understanding consumer behavior. And people all the time, this is why billboards don't work for a lot of people, is they don't understand consumer behavior. That, consumers don't drive down the road 80 miles an hour and write down the phone number, right? They Google what they remember. And so everybody that puts a bunch of phone numbers on there and a bunch of information and, your team logo, and then your name and then the company name, and like, hell, they don't even know what to Google. They have to pass by it 1,000 times and try to remember something just to remember something. And so, all of those factors, right-hand read versus left-hand read, like all of these things make a big difference in the actual result of anything. But, the home evaluation, like we learned real quickly, hey, we can generate a lot of leads real quick if you want leads. But somebody that wants to know what their home's worth today is not the same as somebody who maybe clicks on an ad that says, the number one mistake homeowners are making that are selling in 2021, right? Like that
and
is.
Then take it even a step further and say, in your area, Puerto Rico, or in Light Farm, Salina, Texas, right?
100%,
like,
yes. Making it go, oh, that's for me, right? Like they need to see that and go, that's for me. Like that's what you want them to say. And that, that's a simple rule of thumb, is when you're doing a marketing piece, when they see that, do they go, oh, that's for me? Because you're really that clear on who it is you're targeting.
That's a great point.
Right. So like there's lots of home value type things that you can do. But not all of them are going to yield the same, quality of lead or the same results. And so, yes, I like that strategy, because I think today people are still very really unsure about what their house is worth, and they don't trust Zillow because Zillow is so far off still in most markets, especially today. And so all of those factors, again, make the home valuation an interesting marketing angle. But what do you put with it, and who is that target market? Like, get real clear on who the target market is that you're trying to speak to. Move up homes, move down homes. People that are moving down, empty nesters, which is, there's a lot of that stuff that's relevant today. Just with the baby boomers. So all kinds of cool stuff.
I think the message, cuz, and just chatting with Alex about this, and just because through his conversations he's been having, especially with for sale by owners, is like, yeah, great, you're going to get whatever you're asking for your house, but just because you get what you want could mean that you're leaving 10 to 12 to 14 to 15% of your equity on the table. So let's put that into real dollars. Your $500,000 home, that means you're potentially leaving $50,000 on the table just because you want to get your offer and do it yourself. Are you okay with leaving $50,000 on the table? If I could cover my fees and get you an extra $30,000, would you be open to meeting with me?
Right.
And because that's the reality. That's what people, they're saying, well, I can get these ridiculous amounts, but just because you think you could get this, if I could get you 30 or 40,000 more for your home, would that be of something of interest to you? No, right. I'm stupid. I don't want an extra 30,000.
No, yeah. When you ask the right questions, you get the right answer. They can't say, no, I wouldn't want to put an extra 30,000 in my pocket. So that's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, Mr. Misseller, you guys are smart. So I know you guys get this, right? So it's just, how you ask those questions to get them, nodding their head and really, really bought in. Somebody else also put in here, reviews and testimonials. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Cialdini's revised edition of Influence comes out tomorrow. So if you're looking to add one to the reading list, get that in. Updated version of Influence comes out tomorrow.
That'll be good. I love that book. That's definitely a top 5 marketing book for everybody.
Yeah. And so he's making it relevant content to today's world from when he had written it. So I'm excited to dive into it, and it's no different than Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. Collins makes it one what he missed back in the early 90s, but also what's true today. So those are some great book recommendations if you guys are looking for something to dive into. For sure. Shit, brother. Yeah, you could build that. I mean, I know, I went back and I looked at the transition plan that we had kind of built out when we went independent from Coldwell Banker. And you and I've talked about this, and I put, hey, what are our 3 foundational pillars? And it was, guaranteed sell. At the time it was Boomtown, and then it was Raving Fan Club. And, I don't necessarily in today's market worry about, the Boomtown, the commissions Inc. side of things, but, definitely our guaranteed sell wrapped in the expires for sell by owners, home evaluations, everything that we're doing, as well as that Raving Fan Club would be the foundational pillars to make that run to whatever size business you want to build.
And I think the other thing too, going back to kind of Juan's question, would that still be your top 3? Make sure whatever you're doing that your past clients are getting that same mailers, the same touches, and that the other people in your sphere of influence are also on that list. Like, you should be mailing all the people that know, like, and trust you at least, every couple of weeks. Like, they should be getting something every couple of weeks. They don't let them forget about you, right? They already know, like, and trust you, but don't let them forget, right? And so keep something there in front of them, but the frequency over the first, from the time they're a stranger to, the time that they're gonna say, hey, let's call this person, or you become top of mind, is generally going to be, 18 to 21 touches is the number that I've seen in the limited studies that are out there about this. But I can tell you from tons of experience in it. It's fascinating, the difference that it goes from inbound. It just starts happening. People just start picking up the phone and calling, and as long as it's just those same people get the same message over and over and over and over, that's the key to it. Book is the book. Jennifer is Influenced by Robert Cialdini. I believe what's the subtitle, like the science of
persuasion or whatever.
Right. Yeah, the psychology of persuasion. Yeah.
Psychology of persuasion. Get the updated version. It comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's worth waiting for that one, because who knows what he's going to have in that. Because the studies are phenomenal in the first one. I'm sure he added something.
Forget how many hours the Audible. I looked at the Audible version. I forget how many. It was absurd amount of audio content for that book.
Yeah,
Nuggets. Juan, I love it, man. Dean Jackson. He's a goat. I like it, man. Run with it. We had one of our masterminds. She built her empire on Dean Jackson's postcard campaign.
Yep.
She came to mastermind for 3 years in a row, sharing her biggest lead generator. And I can't believe nobody executed. She's like, here's.
It's hard. Let me say something about all of this stuff. It's hard. None of this stuff is easy. So it's to do anything 18 times in 18 weeks in a row is difficult. Like, it's going to be difficult to go through that process of creating the pieces, getting them 100% created, whether it's video and then you're using Facebook, or it's direct mail of some kind of component. Like, all of this stuff was difficult to implement, which is, again, the reason why I always lean on the postcard example. the billboard example is always another one, because it's always some agent that got sold a billboard, right? Like they didn't like strategically decide to do billboards. Like somebody just made a sales call and sold them on a billboard, and then they let them do the creative, which is never a good idea, because you either have somebody you're following that's had success and you're modeling what they did, or you're just making shit up basically. And that's, those guys don't know how to sell. They barely know how to sell the billboard, much less what to put on it. And so, all of those things are, can be better if you understand those principles and follow them.
Yeah, man. So good. I had a good conversation with Mr. Nick Good Monday evening. And, we were talking about, cause he's, doubling down on, growing the good home team, here in DFW. And we were talking about, what was the catapult for a lot of the big teams across the country, when they exploded early on. I said, well, it was radio and TV at the time. I said, because that's where the eyeballs were. And what it did is it grew brand, and it built trust. And so I shared the story about, small town, Lawton, Oklahoma, 2004, Michael Reese, word that, I'm out on the streets, about to be. And, Sharp goes, hey, Kinder's looking to hire, you need to go over there. I ain't never met you, but I felt like I had a relationship with you because I saw your face all over everything. I heard you on the radio. I listened to you every morning driving in. We'd play at the time at the bar, K-Law would be on. I'd hear you on there. And so I had already formed a relationship of trust just through the branding efforts that you were doing. And so that was what I was sharing with Nick. I was like, brand is everything, because it builds trust. And that goes back to the reviews comment, that goes back to the frequency comment, that goes back to the consistency of your message comment. And I think we could even take it a step further in today's market with the content. Are you creating content that's helping your prospective seller, your prospective agent that you're trying to recruit solve the problems that they're trying to solve, and building a relationship of trust by adding value? And that's I've loved, the digital marketing game conversations you and I've had over the last 15 years of more value, right? The whole move the free line. Yep. And I think that's where you have to go, is where the eyeballs are. And are you adding value in a consistent fashion to the audience that you're trying to, get their attention?
Right. Yeah. That's fundamentals. And that goes kind of dovetails right into this question on the billboard, what we would put on the billboard today. I would be very tempted to put the cash offer. The thing is, less is more. So you have to turn whatever you're thinking into something that can be 3 lines of text only, and one simple call to action. But I would probably, say that you have to go with the cash offer, or don't leave money on the table, or even the sell for up to 18% more in this market, or hit them with the don't leave money on the table. I would go. I would have to think we'd get more creative on it. We know the guaranteed sell worked and all that, but the cash offer thing is another strategy that.
How about, how much money are you leaving on the table? Question mark.
Right.
Cash offer CLE.com. Or
right.
Something.
There you go. There you go. Like that. That's it.
And color scheme and font. There's all the little details that you guys like. Details.
It's so funny. Like when you're doing the billboard and you get the proof and you're looking at it on your computer and you're like, yeah, that looks really good. And then it gets up on the billboard and like, what the hell happened? Like it looks so good on the computer, but like when it gets out there, it should be obnoxious. If you want it to be you want it to be obnoxious on the billboard, and you want it to be obnoxious on your screen. And so it's really easy to be like, oh, I could put that in there and put this in there. That's great. And then you blow that up, but it's still not very big on the billboard. And so you want, less is more on billboards, because you've got a few seconds for them to be able to read it and be thinking about it as they go by.
Yeah. And remember what, I was going to highlight what you said a while ago. And this is, branding 101, you work with, you get Holly's branding assessment. You can go to hollykitchens.com. She has a free download for a branding audit. And the first thing she says is go Google yourself what comes up. And that's just consumer behavior, right? That's just how we all, go type your name into Google and what happens. And are you okay with that? and a lot of you are like, no, I'm not okay with that. It's like, all right, well, we know what we got to work on to improve, and really be intentional with the consistency in the brand image that we're trying to put into the marketplace.
What's the book, what's the book with the guy with the middle initial, Scott something, M something? He had a pretty regular name. Right. So like, oh yeah, go Google Joe Smith. What the hell? I'm never going to come up for that. Right. So like he was whatever, Joe E. Smith or something along those lines. But there's a book and I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. It was really good. I'll have to think about that if I can figure it out.
Is it around just clear on kind of your branding message?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think what it's been around for a while, but it's been around since Google. I mean, that was the whole focus of it.
Yeah. Oh man. When you Google your name, use an incognito window. There you go, Nolly. Little nugget.
Yeah, that is a nugget.
Yes, sir. Man. May, school's wrapping up pretty close. A lot of stuff going on. You got Scottsdale next week, right? 2 weeks?
Yep. Scottsdale next week.
Yep. And postcard series for past clients.
It's not Jack Trout.
Man, if I was going to do anything postcards, I think I would be looking at Dean Jackson stuff. I've had to look at it a couple times just in conversation over the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Dean, here's the thing. Dean understands messaging. Period.
Yeah, he does.
Like all the questions that you guys are having, or you should have, or you would have. Dean is a brilliant marketer, and if he's selling it, it means he knows it works.
Yeah.
So I highly endorse his stuff.
You can go to deanjackson.com and scroll down. It's the world's most interesting postcard.com can get you there, but you can go to deanjackson.com. You can scroll down. You can find it. Yep. World's most interesting postcard. There you go, Juan. Thank you, sir.
That also in and of itself is excellent copy, by the way. In case you were wondering, the world's most interesting postcard is a great headline. Headline pulls 80% of the results of anything you do in marketing.
Man, Tony Robbins, remember that the world's what was it? The new money masters, the program that he did back. What was that back like in 2000, where he kind of really opened up the vault to all the digital marketers.
Yeah.
Kind of showcasing the digital marketing gurus at the time. I mean, they'd only been at the game for like 10 years, but they were the ones that were paving the way. Man, he had some amazing interviews. Frank and he had Eben, Dean. Shit, man, that was some gold Tony Robbins content right there.
Yeah, for sure was.
There you go. Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
Thank
not
you,
just
Jen.
once. That is absolutely not the move. You might be able to get away. No, I'm still saying it. I would say no. But we did the big ass postcard. I don't even remember where we ordered those, but we ordered the big ass postcards to sell EGS events. And we mailed them to our ideal clients.
Yeah.
The big ass postcard. We followed up with them too, though.
Yeah, I think
those are actually also people that knew us.
Yeah, force multiplier effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's just you get back to the fundamentals, man. You got to hit them. You hit them from everywhere, and that's what we ended up doing really well in a lot. And it goes back to my whole point with Nick, right? Was like, you got to hit them everywhere. You got to hit them in everything that you possibly can. It's such a distracted world we live in. You got to hit them everywhere.
Lumpy Mel. Lumpy Mill is another one to look up. If you haven't ever looked up Lumpy Mill is freaking amazing. I think what's the name of the company that we ordered the bank bags from?
The bank bags.
The bank bags are gangster.
Yeah, bank bags are really good.
We spent 4 G's on that and made 30,000 in commissions inside of like 90 days.
Yeah.
And then what happens over time too is, over time what happens is, you remember I got a couple of them stored away somewhere.
Man, bank bags might be a good play in today's market.
Yeah.
3D mailing. 3D mailing. There
you go. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Bank bags might be a good play with that message. How much money are you leaving on the table? Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Don't leave. I would absolutely. It's a definite. It's still the problem. It did. It's hard to say we were going cold into a market with as much other marketing that we do. So like they're still getting impressions every single day from us in other areas. But the bank bags pulled strong, very strong. And then, we're sending them postcards and consistency after that too, because we were going after a new area. We ended up getting to 48 or 9%, I think, market share in that neighborhood. It's pretty crazy. But we mailed all kinds of stuff. We mailed little army men. We mailed everything. All kinds of.
We had a newsletter going in there as well, and we played on. And so this is a little nugget. If you live in the area, don't choose a neighborhood just because you live there. You got to make sure that the facts check out, right? Go to join the neighborhood mayor group with Andrew Gaydosh. He teaches you the right steps to determine if that's a good area for you. Well, it checked all the boxes for us, and it just so happened that Jay lived there, so we played on it. Said, nobody cares about home values more in this neighborhood than I do. And so that's how we played on that messaging to the market. But we sent a newsletter and we sent 2 mail pieces every month back then. And that's how we were able to get up to over 50% market share.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a pretty good campaign for sure.
Yeah.
The bank bags are they're expensive, but they're expensive to mail, but it's who's not going to open a bank bag?
Yeah. I think, man, I heard somebody was talking about, direct mail is direct mail. It has its conversion. Is it converting? It converts. It converts at what it converts. And, I don't know about you. I mean, there's not much mail in my mailbox these days. And so
it's quite empty.
Likelihood for something like a bank bag to pop in there. Like you're going.
Well, even, and I think even more importantly, like a jumbo postcard with your face on it on the way to the trash still gets the point across, right? Like I just want you to remember me. Don't forget me. I'm right here. It's like that's what works.
I'll I share a little nugget with everybody that door hanging, yeah. And if you guys can if you remember and if you look back at all of our stuff, you'll notice that we had our yard sign on everything, and that was for a reason. Because we wanted people to say, I see your sign everywhere. And so we were consistent with having our yard sign on everything we did. Every direct mail piece, every visual piece, everything that went out was our yard sign. So people would be like, dude, I see your yard sign everywhere. Yeah, of course you do, because we're programming you to see that, not just in the yards, but also everywhere you look, either in your mailbox or, so be thinking about little things like that matter.
We got to do, John. We got to pull out some of the marketing pieces that we did and just do a little clinic on some of these, because there's a whole lot more that we used to mail out in the Kid Research Circle. Yeah, door hangers, all kinds of stuff. The way we used to co-op with splash pools and then mailed to every home that had a pool.
Yep.
Like there was some. It's some fun stuff you can do. You just got to get creative.
Yeah, that's a great. Man, that's a great little nugget right there. Pools, and especially
so who has your list of clients that have pools? Well, Leslie's Pool Supplies did, so because everybody in town went to Leslie's, at least in the certain vicinity. So every house that had pools, they had that list. We include them on the mailing because they helped us with the list, and then we co-opted that deal and we did a mailer that I can't remember what was on the mailer now, but. Yes, selling your home with a pool or something like that, or I can't remember exactly how we did it, but it was super targeted.
Yeah, and two, like where Oklahoma, appraisers wouldn't give much value to pools. Well, here in Texas, they're almost giving you full value for the pools. So, like, do you how much more with the pool, and they have a pool because you have the pool list, and so just being able to get that message that resonates with them. Yeah, that's a gangster little move.
Yep.
Who's got your commissions, right?
Yeah. Who got my money?
Who got my money? Man. Any tips on how to systemize different print strategies? Top of mind farm, walking for dollars list, non-owner occupied, past clients having trouble automating.
Yeah, that would be the probably the number one constraint to all of this, right? One thing we did one time, this was another gangster idea for walking for dollars. We had people that came in the office all the time want donations, and so
yes, this is a great
our strategy was, we'd have spent, our budget would have been blown for sure if we'd have said yes to everybody. But everybody that was a client, a past client, had a friend, knew us, didn't know us, didn't matter. So we would always, anytime they wanted a donation, instead of us getting our stupid face in the newspaper thing that they put out or whatever, we would have their whole team, like this whole softball team or whatever team it is.
Golf team.
Hey,
my dad's golf team.
Right, old golf team go out and deliver door hangers, and so that was another way to get leverage and get people helping you hang those door hangers for not much of a cost.
Yeah. So that was a gold little move. So anything too. So Dean Jackson recommends Prospects Plus to use for the direct mail pieces to be able to mail out. So great resource there. I think a lot of the companies have your lists. I know. I think Nolly likes Nolly. What's the data company? We've always for us we've always we gravitated to Red X just with Mark and Curtis over there. So that leverages automation. Hire a great SE's type to run your campaigns. Yeah, a who, right? Instead of you trying to figure out how am I going to do it, just ask a better question. Who can help me execute this?
Yep.
Land Voice. Yeah, thank you, Molly.
Yeah. We worked with them for a long time.
Yep. So cool, cuz. Well, I appreciate you, man. This has been a fun hour hanging.
Sure.
Dang great questions. And Nolly, appreciate you jumping in and asking some great questions as well. And if you guys
contributing.
Feel free to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We'd love to help you guys in any way that we can. And make sure you tune in to us when we jump in next time.
Yep. Take care.
See you, cuz.
Later.
Bye.